But let's quickly introduce our other guests. We have in Abuja, Comrade Edwell Chuka. Okay, we don't have those guests here, but we'll be joined by Comrade Edwell Chuka, who is the Vice President, Citizens Quest for Truth, and then Comrade Inyi Okpokpo. Both of them are executives of same organization. But let's dive into the conversation. Wilkers, quickly. Yes, the Ministry of Niger Delta, or the NDDC, and all its titles. It's been about 19 years that when the NDDC was formed. And the essence of that commission was to bring better life to the region. You are from that region. You traveled to that region a couple of times. Tell me, do you see the presence, or do you see the NDDC as have achieved the purpose for which it was created?
Certainly, it's always, in fact, it's very, very clear for even the blind to see and notice that with the, like you said, almost 19 years of an interventionistic agencies, and one would have expected that by now, all the things that has been mapped out for development in that region should have at least had some form of resemblance of actualization. But the reverse has always been the case. One sorry point that people have always talked about is the East-West Road. Is the East-West Road, which is a very, very sorry point that I think that by now that should have gone up the bill as far as national development is concerned, because that's a road that cut across virtually all the states of the Niger Delta. But that has not happened. And people are worried because, again, when you look at some of the funds, the level of funds that has been committed to NDDC, NDDC came before the Niger Delta Ministry. And if you look at the level of funds that has been committed to the NDDC, one will have expected that something really, really tangible that people can point to on the ground, that these things are there, should have come up. And then again, people are also talking about, yes, we're talking about the fund that is there, but we're also talking about inadequacy of the funding. You know, so I don't know really what the problems of the NDDC is. Now that the Data Ministry came on stream about during the time of Yaradua, during the government of Yaradua, and if you put these two together, it's not a good story to tell. And therefore, the job for this present administration in terms of the present men that is to mount the Ministry of Niger Delta, including the special assistant to the president of Niger Delta, their work is cut out right now. That the people expect that in the next 4 years or thereabout, something tangible, whatever may be the bottlenecks, is it in fund release, is it in form assessment of fund, should have been sorted out, and let there be some form of development.
All right, Abuja guests are now seated. Let's join Comrade Edwell Chuka, who is the Vice President, Citizens Quest for Truth Initiative, as well as Comrade Inyi Okpokpo, I beg your pardon, is Secretary and Coordinator, River State Chapter. You're both welcome to the program. All right, one of the things we're trying to do on the program is to set agenda for the Niger Delta Ministry. Now, some stakeholders have said, let me address this to Edwell Chuka. Some stakeholders have said that both the Ministry of Niger Delta and the Niger Delta Development Commission have failed the people of the Niger Delta. And one of the reasons they gave is because the president appoints who would man the affairs of both commissions, and that these people will rather owe allegiance to the president and not to the Niger Delta people. Now, I need you to correct this notion. Do you think what the stakeholders have said is right, or do you think otherwise?
Okay, thank you very much. You did not make reference to the act establishing the Niger Delta Development Commission, that's the NDDC. But before I go to your question, I would make you understand that the Niger Delta region is a very large region, and in this region, the people have suffered a lot of degradation. And the stakeholders, the key stakeholders in this region are those in the local communities, because they are the ones who have been directly affected. If you begin to get information information from the people, the elites who do not really get affected by some of the degradations in the region. You will not get the information as right as it's supposed to be. My organization, Citizens Quest for Truth Initiative, we came up with this idea because we wanted to get the truth undiluted, and we wanted to put on a scale the activities of government and what the citizens actually want. And we decided to kickstart with Niger Delta region, and we have realized that over time the agency of government, the NDDC, have done some projects that they could not even actually bring up to the notice of the people. In our quest for the truth, that, like we always say in our slogan, we say see for yourself, we got to some of these communities where we believe that the citizens are the stakeholders, and we realized that some of these communities confessed by themselves and said they have actually in recent time beginning to experience the presence of government through the NDDC. And if you want to get those informations right, it's going to be these people at the local communities that will tell you. Then from what the stakeholders are saying, that the board or the people, the leadership of the NDDC is actually being appointed by the presidency. Some of those clauses are from the act that establish the commission. So you actually not blame those who are actually being appointed. In recent time, by the dissolution of the board that was just dissolved, you will notice that the presidency just woke up one morning and announced the dissolution of the board, and also picked people who we believe are not even in touch with the people in the local community. So some of these things are from the clauses in the act establishing the commission. So you don't really blame the stakeholders, you blame the people who came up with that act. And also there's I think there's need
Coming Edwell, I want us to stay
establishing.
I would like us to stay with the question and the purpose for this topic. The question is, you rightly said, the challenge for us now is not about the board. Yes, we'll go to the board, but let's even look at the previous boards of the NDDC. How much positive impact have they made within the region? We'll go to this current board and the controversies around this board, but the previous boards that we've had, the leadership of the NDDC in the past 18 years, would you categorically say that the impact is being felt across the region?
Okay, if you talk about what the board has done in the past, it also boils down to bureaucracy. If you do your findings very well, from what we also gathered from our own findings, we understand that there's high level of bureaucracy. In the past, the board has not been able to assess fundings the way they are supposed to. And most times before the fundings even come, the board would have gotten to the level where they are about to be dissolved. So you begin to see some of these bottlenecks that doesn't allow this particular set of boards since 2000, the year 2000, when they were established, when the NDDC was established. You notice that they have always had the issue of bureaucracy. Most times before fundings will come and before they begin to execute projects, they are almost about leaving office. So I think these are one of the major challenges that the board has actually had, and it have affected the region. From our findings too, we have also gone to the regions and the communities and the states where NDDC presence is, and we have noticed that they have had projects. We even went to see for ourselves, and we noticed that they are also mega projects.
That would be the direction of my next question, which I would direct to Inye. Inye, since 2009, huge sums of money has been invested to upgrade the Niger Delta region. Now, we want to know, has it yielded any huge and visible impact in the Niger Delta region? We want to know these projects, if any.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity given to me this morning. The purpose for why we are here is to tell this story the way it is. Like my colleague has said, and the question you've asked me, since 2009, the commission was established. I can tell you for truth, within the past 2 months of our existence as an NGO, we've been able to confirm and see for ourselves that truly the Niger Delta is to some extent, the monies that have been made available through the nature of Niger Delta Commission, the NDDC, the money has been used properly. Now, take for example, in Rivers State, Citizens Quest started in the past 2 weeks, in the past 2 months, and we are able, just within 4 local governments. Rivers State is made up of 23 local governments, but we are able to cover, at least for now, 4 local governments within our schedule. And we saw over 100 roads rehabilitated by the Niger Delta Commission. What does that mean? That the money that was put into the commission has actually been effectively used. Now, the problem is, NDDC, I don't know why they couldn't tell their own story. They couldn't tell their own story to be able to, put it there, let the people know, and the government, the federal government that is releasing this money also know that the money is being used, effectively. As of today, Citizens Quest is, we have our team in about 5 states, and as those of us in River State are doing our own investigations and verifications of this project, our teams in other states are also doing the same. And put together, we have seen both in rehabilitation of roads, building or rehabilitation of schools and all whatnot, over 2,000 projects done by the federal government through the NDDC. So I can tell you from the question you've asked that the funds provided for this purpose has been effectively used.
You're saying in the last 2 months that the Citizens Quest was formed. You have visited about 2,000 projects completed by the NDDC. Is that your submission right now? Very well. You see, with me here, it's a compendium of some of the projects we have looked at. If you like, we can also make available this document to you so that you see for yourselves. And you see, when we go to these places, our reports are not censored. We say things the way they are. Pictorial, video evidences, interviews. All this information, we have it. So I can tell you authoritatively. Please, quickly. Who is funding this organization? As an NGO, a non-governmental agency, we don't speak for the government. There is no individual that has come to say, oh, I want to use you to either speak for or against the government. We're a team of journalists in the mainstream and social media influencers. We put our resources together to see that we're able to speak, interface for the government. We are a bridge between the citizens that cannot speak for themselves and the government of the day.
Let's pause you for a moment and speak to a guest here in Lagos. Alester, there was this movie some time ago that was depicting the reality of a part of the Niger Delta, that's Oloibiri. Yeah. And from that movie, what the actors tried to express was that there is a government and the owners of the oil companies, and there are the community leaders or traditional leaders. Now the monies are handed over to the traditional leaders, and the grassroots suffers. They see no development. Now it strikes me as this group they have said that the NDDC is working. The government has invested so much in the Niger Delta region. But tell me, you are a son of the soil. You visit rivers every now and again. Really, have you seen any visible projects that the grassroots, people living in grassroots, can actually applaud the government, saying that it has done well? Use Oloibiri as one of the places, and use the farmland, the piece of land that is being polluted, that the government has been saying they're going to try to fix.
Yes, it's a complex mix as far as I'm concerned. It's quite a complex mix, and I'm delighted at the man that is at your guest in Abuja that is having a compendium of projects, and haven't believed that they've touched the grassroots to see them. Well, one remarkable project, I think, the Niger Delta Ministry, I don't know if it's the ministry or the commission, is the Bayelsa part of the East-West Road. I think in the last 4 years, substantial work was done on the Bayelsa angle of the East-West Road. Now, I'm talking about Oloibiri. I think the government of Bayelsa under Saraki Disin took a lot of interest in Oloibiri. Remember, Oloibiri is the first place where it was struck. And for a long time, Oloibiri was left dilapidated. There is a total mix of how funds move in the Niger Delta, and which caused me a lot of pain. Because I know that the oil industry companies are investing. Even though every time they keep shouting, they are investing. Who takes the money and where the money appeared is between the oil industries, the leadership, yes, the leaders. And with the leaders, most times, I don't want to pocket this money. And the grassroots suffers. I come from a community where oil pipeline passed through. And I know that once in a while, annually or thereabout, money is paid. And in our town hall meetings, we try to see how this money is spent, you know. So, and that is my community, but I don't know if that applies to so many communities, if those legislations would not have been this right. So the oil industries there must be that adequate synergy and partnership as to getting these things down. Yeah, a lot of work is done. They build schools, they build, I'm talking about the industry now, they build schools, they build roads. But most of them know, you see that this community will say, no, give us the money, we don't want you to build, just give us the money. And when the money gets to the hands of the elites, it appears houses are built in Abuja, houses are built in Port Harcourt, houses are built in other places, and the people are just giving stipends. So let us look at really, I don't want to dwell too much on the oil industries. Let's look at really the NDC Commission. I'm happy that it is this state now that there are a lot of work being done. And I think that should be like maybe the last...
You think you're speaking the minds of those in the grassroots?
I want to believe, because since they said they have gone to the grassroots, if I get a copy of that compendium, I could study it and then also be able to emphasize it. But I've just mentioned a part of the roads. Even the Imo side that reaches to River State, that side is part of the East-West Road, handled by Niger Minister. I think institutional work has been done that area, the Bayelsa angle. But I'm not too sure that the Cross River angle has received so much attention. It's been long I passed that route. Maybe they won't be able to also tell us if that has been done. But in a nutshell, if these are happening, I think it should be publicized. I'm happy that a group like this, it takes upon themselves, the non-government, to publicize what is happening. And I think they deserve the support of the media, so that we also do not put every blame on the government if the government is working. I know that for a long time this was not doing nothing, because I think in my community I didn't see them do anything. And I mean, even the water project that is doing in my community has been there. They've not commissioned it, for God knows how long. But if there are communities that are benefiting, praise God. And so the president to encourage them and let these things be out. And then they should come up and speak for themselves. They should come up, buy slots in the media and speak for themselves and let people know what they are doing. And then one thing again that must be very, 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 very was, let us even know how much is being invested in this ministry. How much goes to the NDDC? They should publish their accounts. They should publish the roads that they have done with this money, so that people do not just have the notion that nothing actually is happening if something is truly happening. I think I support the group.
Anyways, very well said. Let's look at the whole controversy around the newly appointed board of the NDDC. Let's look at the act. The act that sets up the NDDC stipulates that yes, the presidency would nominate and send to the Senate to clear, and then confirmation is done. But did you see that process followed in the recent appointments of the board?
Unfortunately, I didn't take interest in the appointment of the board. But if the act says so, then I think the president must pass it to the appropriate channel. I know that in time past that has always been done. There's a rotation. I know that there's a rotation among the 9 states that consider the NDDC. In this last appointment, I must confess that I wasn't a keen watcher, but I only knew when it was inaugurated. I only know when it was inaugurated by the president, and all the halubalu begin to occur. You see, NDDC, I don't want people to see NDDC as a cash cow. we've had too much interventionist agencies in the Niger Delta. We know when the what they call it, the one that the former one under Bangladesh administration, the other commission that is under the Bangladesh administration, what happened, and the then Professor Opia disappeared with so much money. He's not yet to be. I don't want this to be seen as a cash cow to rich people. We have done that in the past. Going forward, let there be proper accountability. It doesn't matter who is on the board. The important thing is, if you're on the board of NDDC, you should know your mandate, and your mandate is to develop the Niger Delta. Therefore, whatever resource that is being made available for it should be used, and people like this group should take deep interest in this, how the money goes and what is happening within the commission.
All right, let's talk to Enwell Chukwu. Enwell Chukwu, we want to set agenda for the new minister of the Niger Delta. I would like to know, what would you be expecting as an NGO? What would you be expecting from this ministry?
Okay, from your question, we do not really expect anything from the ministry as a group, but we are trying to speak up for citizens in the region. We want to thank the federal government under the administration of President Muhammad Buhari for at least appointing capable hands into the Niger Delta ministry. At least you can give it to the former governor of Akwa Ibom State and the former senator Obon Goswill Akpabio. He's a development expert. You can refer to some of his developmental strides while he was the governor in his state, in Akwa Ibom State, and also the human rights lawyer, Barrister Festus Keyamo. Those are capable hands that we believe that they can speak up. Because I said something about bureaucracy in the system. The issue of the signature projects in Niger Delta, that's the East-West Road, and that's where the Niger Delta ministry needs to do a lot. That particular road has experienced a lot of challenges relating to bureaucracy, and I think that with those two persons, if they go in there, they can fight out the funds to ensure that that particular project is divided into 5 sections. We have the section 1, the section 2, the section 3, the section 4, and the section 5. And we believe that in time past, the Federal Executive Council have approved some funds. But I can tell you that if you go to do your research in this ministry, you understand that some of those funds has not actually gotten to the contractors, and it does not even gotten to the client, which is Niger Delta ministry, before it even get to the contractors.
Right,
so I think this bureaucracy is a thing that's hampering development in Niger Delta.
Okay, Comrade, well, thank you for that contribution, and we believe that will be your last contribution on this conversation. Let's quickly have your final words from you, Inie Mokwo. In here, quickly, it is believed that there is a huge interference by political players in the Niger Delta, and that has impeded the utmost performance of the commission. Tell me, how much political interference do you see in the commission?
Well, don't also forget that NDDC is a political commission. It's a commission established for purpose of politics. But I won't want to delve into that, because as long as we are concerned, the commission has been set up for the purpose of developing the region, and that is what we are out, that's our concern, to see that the monies that have been released to the commission will be used effectively. Now, please let me tilt a little to the question my colleague here just answered. Now, the issue of the Niger Delta being a signature project of the ministry, if we have a minister in that ministry and is not able to achieve the completion of that East-West Road, then I don't think the person should be proud of his or herself. Like he said, the president has done well to, for the first time in the history of the establishment of that ministry, to appoint 2 Niger Delta sons that has capacity, into that ministry. That is to say, they whatever they want to do in that ministry, they will hold it at heart. Now, remember, the issue of the section 3, which is the LMA axis of that road, being handled by RUCC. the Federal Executive Council, made approvals in 2017 December for the completion of that.
All right,
and up till today, that money has not been released. So
Inye,
if the government
that's a great way
has not
to
released money
end
for
the
minister
discussion.
to be able
Inye,
to
we
do
hope
his
to
job,
have you
then I think
in our
it doesn't show
subsequent
that
programs
the federal
to elaborate more on this topic, on the role of the Niger Delta Ministry in the Niger Delta development. Thank you so much, comrades Enwell Chukwu, who is the Vice President, Citizens Quest for Truth Initiative, as well as Inye Okpukpo, the Secretary and Coordinator, River State Chapter. And many thanks to you also, Alesta.
Yeah, it's just to add that the two ministers must come up with an A game, because they are men of trusted capacity, and let there be things happening in that ministry.
All right, thank you so much, Alesta.
Thank you very much.